call this March 18th, 2014 meeting of the Airport Authority to order. At this time, I would ask Mr. Owens to lead us in pledge. So stand, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ruth, do you have any public comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. Minutes of the January 21st, 2014 regular meeting. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion approved.
Motion?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Mr. Classy?
Mr. Chairman, we provided you with both the January 31 and the February 28 financial reports. I'd like to bring your attention to the February 28 financial reports on two items, just to bring to your attention. If you turn to that page for you'll see airport fuel sales through February 28 of $243,252. And then you see the fuel purchases down below of $230,000. There's actually a broader amount there is that we have also, that includes $28,476 worth of Gen A fuel that was bought on February 28th. So that number is actually, that margin is actually wider and is closer to being on track of the 50,000 we anticipate for the year. Second thing I want to mention to you is that the salaries for the part-time have been running high this year. We will be providing a budget amendment to the Board of Commissioners, not for additional funding, but to move some of the money around within the existing budget. We've had higher than expected part-time salaries due to new people coming on board and training and things like that. So we've had to budget more time, have them on board more time. Worked with the operations manager, Chris Roach, and he's working on a schedule to bring us in line with the new budget through the June 30th, so we'll stay within our budget. Just want to bring those two items. Do you have to answer any questions on the financial reports?
Anyone have anything? All right, thank you. Chris? Airport operations report.
Gentlemen, good evening. I'd like to remind everyone at the end of this month, March 28th, 29th, and 30th, we have the Boy Scouts of America coming up and utilizing the airport the last weekend of this month. There plans to be about 150 to 200 kids there that weekend, and we're expecting a big turnout. Let's see, we have a mechanical issue concerning the exhaust just a couple of weeks ago with our Jet A truck that has been resolved. As you're probably aware, we've also hired 2 new people. We've had one person leave, so we had to hire someone else to take that gentleman's spot. So we're currently in the process of training 2 new hires. Let's see, our fuel flowage, I want to give you 2 actually because we missed last month's. January fuel flowage was a combined 2,114.54 gallons with a pre-buy of 2,500, totaling 4,514.54 gallons. February 2014, we had a total of 1,652.58 gallons with a pre-buyer of 2,056 gallons, totaling 3,708.58 gallons. Staff is also currently in the process of beginning a new procedure. We're keeping track of flights that are coming in and out of the airport. Not only are we able to track airplanes that have filed either coming to our airport or leaving our airport, we're keeping track of those on a daily basis, as well as trying to keep track of anyone that does not file, give you gentlemen a better understanding or a better tally of the monthly aviation that we do at the airport. Also, about last month, we do have the wireless, the internet access at the airport, which has been a huge blessing in disguise. Not only is the wireless up and running, our new telephone system is up and running. A lot of times when we are out on the airport filling specific airplanes, it might take 15-20 minutes. So you would not believe the amount of calls we could possibly miss. So call forwarding from a new telephone system has been fantastic. And I believe that's it, gentlemen. Any questions?
All right, anyone have anything? Thank you.
Thank you.
Under old business, organizational review update, Clausen.
Sure, this was limited to the review for the minutes from the 1980s. I can tell you that we have looked through all the documents at the airport. We looked through the documents here. We looked through the documents in coordination with the airport attorney through those files. We have interviewed former board members, and we cannot find the minutes from the 1980s. We don't know where else to look. So I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, to our knowledge, those minutes, those hard copy minutes, do not exist, or if they do, we have not been able to find them in any space that you would normally have.
It seems to me, we've done an exhaustive search. There's been a lot of former board members have been interviewed. At this point, there's no way to determine if the records ever even existed. I don't know that there's any reason to continue looking for something. We don't know if it's even there to be found. Am I correct when I state that there's no evidence that any prior board did anything wrong concerning the minutes?
We have found out to do that.
Okay. I think it's time we put the issue to rest, and we move forward.
I would agree.
I would agree.
I agree with you. We need to spend our time and efforts towards the future.
I would ask the attorney what is the legal remedy in order to do this.
There's a legal requirement to keep the minutes, but there's no practical way. Is what I've been advised, that you've had staff look everywhere there's possibly to look. There would be nothing in those minutes that would bind this board. That as a practical matter, this board can take whatever action it wants to, regardless of what was done back in the 1980s. And so in terms of a legal ramification, I do not know that there's any with not having them. You've done everything that you can. So I don't know that anyone would have any legal recourse against the airport authority for not having them.
Only if, an example just to throw out on the floor, an example of an easement could be one example.
But for an easement, the easement to be legally effective would have to be recorded at the Register of Deeds office.
Theoretically, yes.
Well,
Just theoretically, we should have the 80 cents.
well, right, but if if there's an easement, that's different than, an easement document to be legally effective has to be recorded at the Register of Deeds office. And so if that document's not recorded, then it's not going to be legally effective. So, as you say, theoretically it should be recorded, but it would have to be recorded as a practical matter, in addition to that, to have any enforceability on it.
How about any other legal documents other than easements? Like bid documents for work to be done.
You have to have the document itself. The minutes wouldn't have anything to do with that. You'd have to have the document itself.
Evidently, they are missing as well, though. That's my point here.
But if you
Not only are the minutes missing, but a lot of the documents.
But if the documents are missing, as a practical matter, this board can move forward. And if they're missing, they're gone. You can't find what is not there. You just have to deal with practicalities.
No other questions? I wanted to hear it.
You can't do any more than what I understand has been done.
I understand that point, and the reason I wanted it read into the record, the reason I asked. Hope you understand that.
Mr. Chairman, do you?
I'm here to answer questions.
I don't think we could even do motion. We don't get a motion or anything, because there's no action.
No, there's no action to be taken.
Okay. Mr. Clausen?
Sure. We really going to call on Jason Ruff and Jimmy Luther to give us an extra report on, kind of an update on the obstruction clearing process. And really cannot thank them enough. Also would like to pass along thanks to, and we're into a lot of issues here, I think, but Commissioner Richards been going through some issues, the airport attorney, Katie Doherty of our revenue department and GIS, there's a lot of work going into this whole issue of the obstruction clearing. And if you guys would give an update on where we are presently and what we've been working on.
Okay.
Did I miss the lease review? B.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over one, my apologies.
I was gonna just flip flop it, but,
You wanna flip flop it, or what do you wanna do?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
yeah, we'll go ahead and do it.
The lease review? All right. Really gonna call them deaf. This is a project we've been working on extensively for a number of months, and it's starting to come together now, but it's definitely want to explain the difference. And lease review is a bit of a misnomer, so explain.
So basically, what we have adopted as a plan is to basically have 3 different types of agreements. One would be an operations agreement, and that would be for those individuals who currently have hangar ground leases that are operating a commercial operation. And so what I have done is I have prepared an operations agreement that provides for the terms and conditions for which a commercial operation can operate in a hangar that is already leased on the premises. I provided a draft of that operations agreement to Carl, and he has provided that to.
I've met with one of the business operators in the hangars, and I've got I'm trying to set up a meeting with the second one.
Then the second type of agreement that you would have would be just a standard lease agreement, and the operation at the airport that would apply to is the restaurant. It's just a business operating as a restaurant, and that party would need to lease that building that they're utilizing now for the restaurant. So you have strictly a lease agreement, which you would consider to be a standard document. I've also provided that draft to Carl, and I don't know if he's had an opportunity yet to meet with the restaurant owner or not to go over that document. But in that situation, you would have just what the terms of that agreement are, as well as requiring insurance coverage and that sort of thing. And then the third type of agreement that we're considering is what would be considered a license agreement, which would give somebody the opportunity to utilize space, say at the terminal or anywhere at the airport, under the direction of the airport manager. And they would have the right to conduct certain business operations or commercial operations, but not have any exclusive rights to do so, or necessarily having the exclusive rights to any particular space. And that is the third type of agreement that we're looking at. Now, right now, the proposals don't have any fees associated with those, because that's just the way they've been operating in the past, but that would be up to this board to determine if you wanted fees to be associated with any of these.
I'm not recommending any fees at the present time, other than the standard $1 a year type thing. And the reason why is because we're trying to get everybody under these written agreements, so it's clear as to under it is the relationship they have with the airport, and we have the insurance and other legal protections, and that's been our focus. Just because that's my recommendation doesn't mean that that's what the board is going to be doing, and anybody I'm meeting with, I make that clear to them. But right now, we're not looking at these as revenue generators so much as we are just trying to clarify the role and recognizing the fact that all of these operators provide a service to the while they're being at the airport. That's, again, your policy call.
And then the plan would be to bring these documents, before anything's executed, bring these documents back to you for your review and approval before there's anything entered into with any of these parties.
When do you think we would get this?
This has all the, I'm in the process now of setting appointments with all the people involved, and I'm hopeful that we'll have them for you at your April meeting. I won't say we'll have them all done by then. I've met with one person so far, going back and tracking some issues and things like that. What I'm finding is that there's been discussions about handshakes and things like that, understandings, and trying to go back and find those things out so that we can put all that in paper and on writing, and you all can consider it so that this is all documented.
Going back to the third type of agreement,
Sure.
the license agreement,
Sure.
which non-exclusive.
Right.
So basically, if I enter into that agreement, then anyone else who may like to perform the same service
Sure.
would have that same opportunity to do so under the same terms.
Absolutely. And what we would require in there would be insurance coverage. We'd also require document what services they're providing, and make sure that all that's under the direction of the airport manager. And as many entities as wanted to do that could.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I would like to see a spreadsheet on the fees that we could charge. for these leases.
Well, really, they're unlimited.
Yeah, it could be whatever you wanted to
It's
do.
whatever charges you might like
Yeah.
to. I mean,
If it generates revenues, we need it at the airport, because fuel sales are not paying us way.
well, yeah, I mean, it's something you're gonna have to address is the fee issue. I mean, we can look at it, you know, it's gonna be a question of what the market will bear, what you all wanna charge, what you think is fair. You know, what's the value of the service that's provided by the person to the airport relative to the fee you wanna charge them. Like I said, we're starting off with $1 because our main goal is to get all the paperwork so that we get these things down in writing. As to how you want to charge those fees, you know, we can look at that another, you know, as we go forward.
Yeah, my concern is just want to make sure that we're fair on nobody has an unfair advantage or has a better advantage by having a hangar out there.